solution stacks. My voice cracking. Sound like my 13-year-old kid. Welcome back, everybody. James, how you doing?
Do well.
Yeah?
Do well, how are you?
You been busy?
Oh, never ending.
Never ending?
Yeah.
With life or work?
A little of both. It's busy isn't always a bad thing.
No.
A lot of good busy going on lately. So,
Onboarding all the clients, taking care of all the tickets, yeah? Seems
picked up
about right.
golf again. So,
Oh,
been-
that's the real reason you're busy.
well,
And friggin' pissed off at your swing.
well, the people's houses that I hit are pissed off at my swing.
Where are you golfing at?
So I was at Brookside in Stockton on Monday for a charity tournament,
Oh, okay.
and apologies to anyone listening who might
Go to
found one of my golf balls in their yard.
Have you seen the one with the dudes? I forget where it is, but I think it's the dad. He'll always watch the people teeing off and he'll go pretend that he's hit
Oh,
with balls, and the people walk up like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Oh."
nice.
It's pretty funny. That's what I would do if I lived on a course. I couldn't live on a course.
Just super troll.
Oh man, there's no way.
I mean, they have to have good insurance policies or like some sort of HOA credit for windows, I'm sure.
I'm 100%
Stucco
sure.
tiles, like,
It's part of your dues.
That's gotta be.
You know you're gonna have it. Well, speaking of busy, you guys have an event coming up in October.
We do.
Yeah, tell me about it.
We do. So, one of the big mysteries for a lot of businesses is cyber liability insurance, and we're going to try to take some of the mystery out of that and help organizations get better rates and better security and all those good things. So, just having a good understanding, to make good decisions is a great part of business
Yeah.
in general. So,
And it's a thing. People are just getting hackosaurus all over the place.
yeah, and it's really becomes such a widespread thing that nobody's immune, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today.
Yeah, and it's 100% a thing, and from small business to large business, enterprise, whatever. I mean, if you're wanting to know some of that information here in the Sacramento area, you can come on out.
Yeah.
Where's it at again?
It's at the SRBX facility on Elvis in Sacramento.
And that's Elvis with a V-A-S, not
LV.
Elvis.
ELVAS. Yeah.
I know. So for years, I'm like, oh, you're on Elvis Avenue.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was originally a typo or if it
It probably was.
some other
Yeah.
meaning there, but yeah,
That's
it's a great facility. We're gonna have some barbecue out there. We're gonna talk about
the new frontier.
not really the new frontier, but it's definitely the Wild West in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, and ultimately, um, not or just kind of relying on status quo is potentially putting you at risk. So
Mhm.
we want to make sure, again, people have the information to make good decisions, and we're going to try to have a little fun along the way, and some good barbecue, and just try to make it a nice event for everybody. We're going to have us, Fuse 3, Bazzuto Insurance is co-sponsoring with us, and SRBX as well, and we're going to have some folks from the insurance industry come talk about all the nuances of insurance, because there are a
There's
ton.
a ton. And this is way more than E&O. This is like,
Oh, E&O is, I wouldn't even put that in the same
we're not
round.
even going to talk about that crap.
I mean, there might be some of it in there because, look, there is a E&O component to it, but
Mhm.
that's E&O doesn't cover probably as much as you think.
Right.
Right.
It's like a blanket.
Well, the insurance companies want to keep their money, and if you don't have specific coverage, I mean, think about just auto insurance, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can have your standard liability that's required by law, or you can go to comp and collision. You can add the glass rider. You can add
Everything.
all these different things in there, and each one is its kind of own little pod that you either plug in or don't, and that can affect you when time comes to file a claim. So,
Yeah. Good information source. So if you're in the area, you want to check it out, head over
absolutely,
to fuse3.com.
indeed.
Well, that leads us into actually what we're talking about today is hackers, right? And why that's important, but specifically focus on the small business, because I do think everybody kind of has the same mentality of, that's not going to happen to me. I'm too small.
Yep.
Is that fair? Do you hear that a lot?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Do you hear that when people are calling into you and saying, I heard I need this? Or is it more when you're out at an event or talking to someone and it comes up and they go, "Pff, I don't need that."
It's a little more subtle than that.
Yeah.
Some people say that, well, some just avoid the conversation altogether. right?
They go ostrich, bury their head in the sand,
Kinda, yeah.
and just be
And
like,
then
"La, la, 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 la."
right, and then, some say, "Oh, we're" like, one of my favorite ones is, "All of my employees are trusted." Well, I I'm literally dealing with a client right now who had an employee quit and take a bunch of proprietary and potentially personal information with them out the door, like, just emailed it straight to their personal Gmail account, and, you know, this isn't the first time. We've had, clients who had people who left essentially started their own competitive business and stole all of their proprietary manuals and processes and resource materials and, all these things, and it's like, okay, like, I get it. You wanna trust the people who work for you, but at the end of the day,
Mm, I've had that happen.
people are people,
Yeah, I've had that happen.
and trust can be abused,
What's
and
the recourse on that? Like, what do you guys do in that scenario?
if you're coming to us and saying this happened,
Mhm.
not a whole lot we can do, right? We're gonna direct you to your lawyers and say you need to kinda work with them to strategize on
Yeah.
how to approach this,
Good luck to you.
and then we say, we should probably put some controls in place to
Mm.
try to prevent this in the future, but, again, it's very much it's not gonna happen to me until it does, and then
Which isn't that the essence of secure insurance? I don't need all that, but when crap goes down, you're like,
yeah,
"Doggone it."
yeah, and, insider threats in particular are a little bit, tricky to navigate in the insurance realm because, like, once the information's, like, gone, there's not really much anyone can do, like, even putting a value on it can be tough.
Yeah.
So, reputation, competitive advantage, those kind of things are, we'll say, somewhat intangible. I mean, you can put a dollar amount to them, but at the end of the day, um, you know, this is always going to be an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
And in some cases, a dollar of prevention is worth 100 or $100,000 worth of cure. So,
Yeah.
understanding the ROI on your security efforts for whatever those valuable items that you possess are, that's something you should be thinking about as a business owner or CEO. And the reality is that all businesses create value. They have
Mhm.
value, or they wouldn't be businesses,
Yeah, yeah.
right? They just wouldn't exist,
Especially
right?
any longevity.
Right.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, you have to quantify that to a certain extent and then, make some uh, common sense decisions about how you're going to preserve that value.
Mhm.
And that's really what it is. Like ROI becomes less hypothetical when an incident happens,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
until then, it is all hypothetical. And that's this kind of cyclical conundrum for organizations, because again, once it happens, then damage is done.
Mhm. Now you're picking up the pieces,
Right.
cleaning up the mess.
Right.
Yeah. Calling in the wolf to be the fixer. I'm Mr. Wolf.
Mhm.
So that's the mentality and mindset from your side of the desk. Okay. Got to get it. It's smart to have it. Protect your business, what you've built, that kind of a thing. Um, put your mind now in because I think this is what a lot of people want to know in the on the other side of the hacker side.
Mhm.
Okay. So do do they target from what you've seen the big or the small or the smaller ones? Are they all random? Because I feel as a small business, and technically last time I checked, small business was considered under 23 million. That's small business.
Yeah.
That's large business to me. So what are they looking for? Are the small businesses like kind of like, I don't know, the small roadkill, but they're going after the big whales for a purpose?
Yeah, so there is some very intentional targeting of particularly larger businesses, right?
Mhm.
Some more concerted efforts, but there's also a shotgun approach. So if you think about just general business, right? You have your supply chain. There's your big dogs. You're just probably somewhere in the middle, and then you have the folks that are smaller. But
Mhm.
all of you have something of value. Every one of you, right?
Mm.
Like, again, you wouldn't be in business, and so there is kind of a shotgun approach where we're just going to blast out 500,000 phishing emails and see who bites, right? And
Mm.
it isn't always that you are the target, it's that you are um, a piece of a larger puzzle that they can work their way either up the supply chain or to a more targeted audience. So, you know, the reality is you never know what you're going to get when you go fishing, right?
So you're like in a hunting metaphor, right? You're the poor little deer that just happened to walk right in front of the blind.
Yep.
Bam,
And,
gotcha.
sometimes it's a whatever 10-point buck, and sometimes it's a 2-point, but
Mm,
both of them are going home with you.
that's crazy. So, do you ever run into kind of in that same mindset, right? So if you're on the hacker mindset, are they going for, like, financial? Are they going for, like, I don't know, social? Like, I wanna take down all the like, the Ashley Madison, I'm gonna go in there, or, like, is it just I want to find data and people's information to sell?
Essentially, this is how it works, right? We're gonna, just blast out. We're gonna see what we get,
Mhm,
and then we're gonna see what we can extract. And sometimes it's just your contact list, right? Sometimes it's just the email. Sometimes it's nothing more than a bit like a base of operations or a jumping off point to attack others, right?
mhm.
So if you send out, say, 5,000 emails, which is a relatively common scenario, and you're say,
On the hacker side.
right, so a hacker sends out 5,000 phishing emails
Mhm.
in a day or whatever, and then they get a small percentage, which is 5, 10 bytes, right?
Okay.
So then they're going to go through your mailbox and they're going to pull all your contacts because you probably know somebody who does
Mhm.
something
That
that
they
is
want.
valuable, even if you're, you know, I don't want to say the lowest of employees, but those with the least responsibilities. There's someone in your organization, CEO, HR,
Right.
finance, one of your clients. Some of these things. They're going to gather all that information. They're going to look at some of these conversations, how you fit in. Then they're going to start being a little more targeted, right?
Oh, so this lab bot that's bot this is humans looking at this.
It's a combination of automation and human, like anything. But at the end of the day, again, even if you're not of value, so to speak,
Mhm,
the value is the people or the
mhm.
conversations you have, the
The numbers
contacts.
you have.
Just in general, it's a jumping off point because even Tyler, may not necessarily be the CFO, but you probably know one.
When you have one of your contact, that's what they're
Probably,
after.
right? You're
Is
probably,
that is that when people go get the whole, like, "Dude, I got an email from you that says you need to get me out of jail, send a card."
yeah, that's part of it.
That's what
Yeah.
those are?
Yeah. I mean, it
Oh my goodness.
almost everything we see is, well, that's too broad a generalization, but a lot of what we see is coming from a supposed trusted entity, right? Someone an organization, maybe even referencing some business you did. So one event that we just recently worked through, somebody was phished, and they had a global admin account in their Microsoft 365.
Ooh,
So they went and created their own global admin. They essentially attached themselves to multiple mailboxes, put in all kinds of like transport rules, and they were doing the thing, and
I knew what they were doing.
they found a crack, right? So
Oof.
number one, don't ever combine your regular account with an administrative account. That's just bad, 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 bad practice. So, but once you have that type of control, right, then even after we kicked them out, we cleared everything out.
Mhm.
Now their clients are getting emails from them, I'm doing air quotes here,
Yeah.
them, saying that, you know, "Hey, look at this document," or whatever, right? And they just kinda build this persistence, build this presence, and just continue to mine those who they kind of parlay off of that initial breach.
So they can read back through someone's email, someone trying to get an approval on something, and they just send it in and it looks whatever. Then, "Hey, check this PDF," and boom, they're in. It just
Yep.
spreads from there.
And then all of a sudden, one of your business partners gets an email from your email address at outlook.com or something like that, right? So
Mhm.
it looks convincing enough at first glance.
Oh my gosh.
It's not something that your brain's going to catch right away. And then all of a sudden, you're now compromised, and then it's off to the races. And they just, kind of literally leapfrog
Mhm.
through contacts until they find something worth value. And
My favorite is and I don't know how they know this, is your package is late. Click
Mhm.
on here to verify that we're still good to bring it from UPS
Yep.
or FedEx or whatever. But legit, how are they getting they must know that I just got something on Amazon,
Yeah, when they just assume it, right?
and it just happens
How
in it.
many Amazon packages do you get in a week? Let's
But
be honest,
yeah, I can't tell you that.
right?
You'll judge me.
But if you multiply that by 350 million people here in the United States alone, on average, people are getting one to
Mm.
multiple packages a week or, several a month probably.
So their numbers are totally based on chance. They're straight up gambling, rolling the dice and going, "Let's see what hits."
It's effectively free to send an email.
Dang.
And
So
so
they
why
don't
wouldn't you?
yeah, yeah, so they don't necessarily well, I mean, there's some that will target specific companies and entities like I asked, but They're not thinking of employee count. They wouldn't be like, "Ooh, let's target 20 and below."
No, and that's I think a common misconception is they're gonna, have some sort of preference, and to a certain extent they do. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, the bigger companies, they're certainly, we'll say, a more persistent target, but at the end of the day, it's really well. Let's put it in this term. So, United Healthcare, right?
Mhm.
This,
I've heard of them.
yeah, yeah, they're a massive target, right?
Yeah.
How many subcontractors and
Oh,
like vendors do you think
oh,
they have?
yeah. I mean, from patients and employees alone.
Right, and let's exclude patients, we're talking like business partners, right?
Mm,
And if you think about that, then how many different opportunities are there to get to that first layer or
mhm,
that second layer or that third layer, and they're gonna work their way towards it, right? So they might not even be targeting something like that, but they're gonna end up there. And so you as a small business are often the weak link or the one that gets targeted because what they're primarily going after is user behavior, right? They know that smaller businesses don't invest in security as heavily.
mhm.
And so they're going to find that kind of chink in the armor through those relationships that are less focused on these types of things.
So they're not, and that's one of the questions, is their number one goal money?
Most of the time, yeah.
But their
Most of the
way
time.
to get there is what you just said, the patterns.
Yeah, so if you think again about how you do business, right?
Mhm,
You don't just go to the ATM and pull out money, right? You got to put in some work to do that.
mhm,
And, sometimes it's a marketing plan to reach a certain audience, and like there's a lot of legwork into turning your efforts into a dollar, and
mhm,
they're no different from a business standpoint.
hmm,
They are businesses, like make no mistake. These are legitimate, air quotes again, legitimate businesses. They are
that do this.
yeah, no, there can be some, we'll say, contractors or kinda independent agents, but they have, actually amazing infrastructure for, accomplishing these things, and they take it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Hollywood's kind of ruined me, and then I think probably everybody else when they have that, mental picture or image
yeah,
about what that is. I perceive young kids or whoever that are in a dark room that are going out and doing stuff, and it's always under stress. It's like, "You got 60 seconds to crack the code."
yeah,
But you're saying that's not the case.
it's not at all the case. They have
What does it look like?
so you can take a number of forms, but, there are essentially call centers, right? Like, these big kind of office spaces where they'll have people in
Mm,
there scamming through phone calls or emails. Let me give you another example. So there was a client of ours who got a pop up on their screen that said, "Your computer's infected. Call this number." Right, and they call in and
of
they
course.
give the person remote access. Right.
Ooh,
Well, that guy probably wasn't solo. Right. They had
yeah,
infrastructure to back it. They had like a team of people. They had literally a call center that you call into, and whoever you get is going to follow the script that they're provided to try to get you to
patch
give them
everything, yeah.
access or do whatever. And then once they have remote access to your machine, again, they're going to like pretty instantly try to gain some persistence, right? They're
Mhm.
going to try to make it so that they don't have to have your attention to access your machine and get the data from you. And then they're just going to mine it. They're just going to pull everything they possibly can. It'll get analyzed. It'll probably get escalated to a different team, even. And like that's
When do they sell it? If they'd even do.
that's a tougher question. I mean, the
I don't wanna throw off your hacking skills, so you don't have to answer it.
no, it's when they prove some value. So
Mm,
there's shops on and sometimes like anything else, like lead generation, right? Like sometimes they're more valuable than others, but they get bundled up and sold. So there's like initial access brokers
mhm.
where they're like, hey, we have access to this organization and we're going to sell that for surprisingly cheap, actually, 50, 60, $100, something like that.
Really?
And then you're kind of think of it like, you're buying a storage unit and there's all kinds of stuff in there. You don't really know what all it is that you're getting,
It's
but
a good way to think about it.
you're gonna pay $500, you're gonna get a bucket of stuff, and then it's up to you to go through it and try to extract some value from it.
So there could be purchase histories, you can make a trend line and sell it and like, "Oh, here's what I know what's going on in real estate," something like that if they took
Yeah,
it.
kinda,
Okay, that
kinda.
makes sense,
But,
yeah.
there's all kinds of different things, right? Like, remote access servers, right? For, people like us MSPs, where we have access to, dozens of clients' infrastructure. If they can get us, that's a higher value, right? They're going to charge $1,000 or,
Hmm.
$2,000 for that. But, any organization that's, say, got an open web server or RDP server to the world, that's going to probably provide value to somebody.
Hmm.
And so, again, there's a
They have
big
brokers.
component. Oh, yeah. They have brokers, they have help desks, they have call centers, they have
What?
app development, they have, phishing as a service. You can actually pay someone to do this on your behalf.
I mean, isn't that kind of like all those lead gen platforms out there? They're gonna be like, we're gonna scrape the internet. We'll give you leads, but they're really just
Similar model, yeah, similar model. Yep.
okay. So they're getting funded on the front and the back.
Mhm. Mhm. And sometimes it's, big sponsored actors. So, there's a lot of that coming out of, Russia and China where, indirectly they're being funded by the government. And, essentially what they're doing is they're offsetting the cost of their efforts towards the higher value targets by scraping what they can from the lower value targets. And again, it's a numbers game, right? It's one of those like
Ratios.
Superman, right? You get the rounding error, and all of a sudden you're sitting on $1 trillion. Well,
Mm,
if you repeat that cycle enough over and over again, then eventually you're going to get some value out of it. It is truly a numbers game in a lot of cases. Again, there are some very highly targeted, but at the end of the day, if you think as a small business that you're not on the radar, you may not necessarily be directly on the radar, as in
mhm,
the crosshairs aren't on you.
mhm.
But when you shoot a shotgun, right, you just hit
You're
whatever's
trying
in
to hit,
front of you.
yeah.
And even if you're collateral damage, it's still damage.
So there's two. I mean, I view all of it as high tech, whether it's just fishing, whatever.
It's
The shotgun,
incredibly low tech, actually.
really,
Yeah.
because I view like that's one side of it. We're just gonna shotgun,
Mhm.
but then there's the other side of like three dudes that like I want to take down the DMV. They made me stand in line, and I'm smart enough, and I want to. I want to. Do they target?
Sure. I mean, there's some of that, right? Like there's, different motivations, right? Primarily it's financial,
Mm,
but sometimes you're just pissed off, and sometimes you're trying to make a political statement.
mhm.
Sometimes you're just going in there to try to have fun and brag to your buddies, right?
Guess
Like,
what I did?
yeah, look what I got into. And,
Oh,
there's, a whole spectrum there, but, the primary motivator is money. And, when you look at these numbers, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but it's a shockingly lucrative business. And, again, you take a used laptop off of eBay and put it online, and put somebody in front of it. And, with relative ease, your return on your investment's significant. And so you got to understand that, if you, as a hacker, you hit, say, I don't know, let's just say one a month,
mhm.
right? And you're getting five,
Like one
six,
score.
right? 5, 6, 8, 10, 15, 100,000, whatever. That's a significant
Hmm.
return on your investment, right? Like I don't make $100,000 a month,
That's true. In
right? And
sales,
if you
yeah.
get one per month, you're sending out, again, 20, 30, 40,000 emails,
Numbers
phishing
game.
emails. It's a numbers game. And so everybody is a target because they know that they're going to be able to work towards some financial benefit at the end.
What type of impact does this have on a small business
You
if
know
they get hit?
that also ranges, right?
Mhm.
And in some cases, it's an employee went and bought $500 worth of gift cards and sent the codes to somebody thinking it was the CEO, right? Like that's a pretty common one. I've seen it stretch up into six figures pretty easily, and it's, rarer, but it's still, common enough cases. It can get up over 1 million, like pretty quick. So,
A
it
million
really,
and what?
$1 million,
In.
one event.
Oh,
So,
that would cost a small business.
right. So it's like,
What's the damage to them?
they step in front of like an ACH payment or something like that.
Uh,
Some of these businesses, even though their profit, even their revenue, say 500 million. Okay. Well, their profit from that is probably like 50 million, right?
mhm,
And so a lot of that money is just passed through, right? You're paying vendors, you're doing all these things, and that's where a lot of this like higher dollar amount comes in, right?
mhm,
So, say you're a construction company and you're buying, just for sake of conversation here, $1 million in wood,
mhm.
and somebody gets in front of that invoice and redirects that ACH payment for $1 million in wood to somewhere offshore, and you're probably going to be hurt on that,
Oh,
right?
Jesus.
And sometimes they get some of that money back, sometimes they get it all back, sometimes they don't get any of it, sometimes your insurance covers it, sometimes they don't. Like,
Mhm.
these are all factors you have to kind of think about
That's why
when
you're gonna
you're.
have to attend the event in October.
Yeah. I mean, again, you make good decisions. So,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I get $50,000 of cyber liability coverage in my general business insurance, and you read fine print, it covers like three things, and
Right.
none of them apply to you, right? So,
Eat it.
understanding that nuance and how it applies to you is pretty important. But
Yeah.
and that goes for everyone from what I call solopreneur to even enterprise business. You
You
have
ever
to.
seen hackers close down a business?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
done.
yeah,
Like, what was the whole they
yep.
just took them for every night? Because they
Um,
couldn't survive it?
yeah, so they would effectively destroy their ability to produce, right? So sometimes it isn't the hack itself that takes you down; it's kind of what cascades from it,
Mm,
right? So if you're a manufacturer and they go in and they nuke your CNC stuff, right? You lose all your data or whatever. You didn't test your backups, right? Like, you have no way to actually produce your product anymore, and that can put you out of
mm.
business pretty quick
It's a side effect.
because the people you're selling to, they're going to wait for you to fix it. They're going to go find something else in
Mhm,
their own operation to run, and
mhm. Call
uh,
me when you get it back online.
pretty much, yeah. So, again, it's such a wide spectrum of impact,
Mhm.
that it's hard to say this will happen to you, but there's a ton of what could happen to you. And
Yeah.
again, there really is no rhyme or reason to it. And I think that's part of what people have a hard time wrapping their head around, is that,
Mhm.
it's not always intentional, it's opportunistic.
Yeah.
If there's an opportunity there, somebody's going to try to capitalize on it. And being prepared is really the best antidote. It's still not a cure,
Mhm,
unfortunately. I
mhm.
think that part too is that, when we have these discussions and I sit there and I try to tell you, hey, these are the things that could happen, and they're difficult for people to relate to. And so,
'Cause it hasn't before, so why would it happen
and
again?
it kind of creates inaction,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's funny, coaching football for 13-year-olds and sort of trying to get them to understand it, and they do, but one of the big things we're focusing on right now is what you're talking about. Preparation and ID your threats, right? Where could this guy run? Where could he come? Where's our gaps? So, I think the benefit of having this conversation is if I have to think about as a hacker, go, what would they want in my business? Where am I vulnerable? What would they even get after? And then coming up with that battle plan. Like, in sports, you always watch film on your opponent. Here's what they do well. Here's what they don't. So you have to put yourself in that mindset. Do businesses do that? Do they go, I'm going to think like a hacker today. I'm going to take down this plumbing company. They do $20 million.
Generally not. I mean, not as much in the small business space for sure.
That is a great event that I would attend. How to think like a hacker to protect yourself.
Hmm.
Like, you would be like, anybody from the stage, whatever, or from the audience want to come up? Let's just test yours and
Yeah.
think like a hacker.
Yeah, and there's plenty of it out there that you can kind of consume already.
Mhm.
But doing it live certainly could have some benefit. The hacker mentality is no different than any other business, right? We're going to try to find as much opportunity as we can, and we're going to try to capitalize on it.
But they know so much more than the average person in business. Like, you got 100 people in a room, 2 hackers. You think those 2 know more about online doorways, back doors, how to get in, how to code, how to pull stuff out?
Certainly,
Okay.
but
So they're at the advantage.
there's probably two other people in that room that know how just as much how to close those doors
Mm,
and kind of seal those
okay.
gaps and do those things right.
Small percentage though,
Right,
on
and
both
and
sides.
and look, like, again, none of this is rocket science, right? There's this portrayal of this, that cyber is this, crazy, complicated, and difficult thing. Like, it's not that hard, honestly. It's doing the basics. It's the fundamentals. You're probably tired of hearing me say things like, train your people on what to look for,
Mhm.
right? Patch your equipment, right? Get the security updates, get those things done. Use multi-factor everywhere. And the reality is that those things continue to need to be said because A, people aren't doing them, and B, because they're so effective at preventing these events from actually taking
Yeah.
place, right?
That's a common thread that you've been able is like, you have to be proactive.
Right. And there are certainly evolving and kind of new threats that pop up all the time, and we can get into that ad nauseum. I mean, that's a rabbit hole that we can go down
Case
for
by case.
indefinitely. But at the end of the day, like, you do 4 or 5 things, and you can save yourself 80% of that risk. So this is that old I don't know, saying that says, if there's a group of people running from the bear, you don't have to be the fastest, you just can't be the slowest. Because they're taking that path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're looking for that easy target because they know that once they have some sort of inside presence,
Mhm.
they can parlay that because now they've become quote unquote trusted, right? So,
Right.
you know, doing the basics will likely keep you, I don't want to say exponentially, but significantly safer than those who don't do the basics. And, I'm not the fastest runner, but, if there's a bear behind me, I'm going to outrun you.
You know, my least I'll climb things real quick. You
Well,
ain't
so,
gonna get me.
so will bears.
So, yeah. Have you ever seen them climb, like, fast, like, angry climb?
I mean, videos,
Yeah, that's
thankfully.
what I mean. Yeah, not in person. Hopefully not in person.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, we've talked about it you've been good about not dispelling myth, but kind of, like, what's a huge thing that you hear that you wanna like, a myth you wanna bust?
Really, it's going to be,
There you go. Yeah.
it can't happen to us. I mean, that's really the gist of it is, well, the two primary things I like to tell people, it's not about trust, right?
Mhm.
Even your employees or your staff, or sometimes the people close to you, because they have that access, that can be problematic for you, right?
Mhm.
And then the other one is, again, just, this doesn't apply to us for XYZ, right? Okay, well, it may not necessarily be the, trying to phrase this appropriately here, but
Literally.
really, it's at the end of the day, if you have a computer and it's connected to the internet, you're vulnerable. Period.
That's
End
it.
of
Done.
story.
And everybody's got a phone, right? There you
Phone,
go.
whatever, like anything that you own that talks to another thing,
Mhm.
then there's some way for that to be used to try to take advantage of you, or do something. And it's a tough conversation to have because it's so ubiquitous in life that
Oh, yeah.
we don't even really think about it.
Mhm.
And this is something I talk about during in some of my presentations. Is, I mean, just think about your phone itself, right? So you got Wi-Fi, you got cell signal, you got Bluetooth, you got NFC. Like, there's just
So
all these
many
different
access
ways.
points.
SMS, right? Like, all these different ways that your device can communicate with other devices, and then there's people out there that are trying to figure out how to step in the middle of that communication, or to use that as an access point to you to try to manipulate you. Because the number one threat, the number one weakness in all systems is you and me, and the
Humans.
people behind the keyboard, the people behind the screen.
Mm.
It is proven over and over again, incredibly clear, that you don't have to hack technology. You hack people and bypass all of the technical security in there.
People hacking. We should
It,
talk about that next one.
it's shockingly prevalent.
Mm.
Shockingly.
As you're talking, I almost envy the people in life who just check out of that world. Like, dumb phone, if even they have one, they pay in cash. They don't have all these things. Just the amount of brain space they free up. I was talking to my daughter, she wants to get a card and she wants it's cool to have Apple this and payment that and all that. I was like, no, just go in there with cash. Her reason, I don't want them to give me change. I'm like, is that because you just don't want it or you don't want to deal with or know how to count and all that stuff? But it's funny, or that next generation is just all in it.
That's all I know.
That's all they know.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be just monster opportunity.
Yeah, and generations from now, it'll be even further along,
Oh,
right? Like,
jeez.
it's, look, like, we, to a certain extent, either actively or passively accepted this life,
Mm,
right? These things that are happening to us. Some of it is driven
both.
by, the companies that we deal with, that we want to buy products and services from, and
Hmm.
even, let's say, like credit cards, right? It used to be, remember the old paper
Yeah.
right? Even those were susceptible, right?
Oh, they
There's
swiped it and then kinda embedded the number
Yeah, like
on the
carbon
film.
carbon
Yeah,
paper,
yeah, yeah,
right, right. So those weren't susceptible or, impervious to fraud. Those
yeah.
were quite
It would
fraudulent.
take more effort.
Right, but, they put technology in to try to, protect themselves
Mhm,
and the consumer, and then, okay, well, we can use this technology to do that, and so it all kind of parlayed on, just layered on to one another, and then all of a sudden, you're in a place where, you wouldn't even fathom it
mhm,
30 years ago, and, you know, and again, we all kind of went along for the ride, and, shifting that back or trying to change that course at this point,
mhm.
excuse me, is, uh,
That's a
uh,
huge shift you can't turn around.
yeah, it's effectively futile, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a like a broader conversation about, the concept of privacy is dead, and
Oh,
we all kind of helped it into the grave,
was that I was talking about Palantir?
probably.
Bro, but most likely,
I think
yeah.
we've discussed Palantir, but yeah,
Spooked about that. That's so nuts.
that's certainly an extreme example, but at the end of the day, Netflix, Amazon, Google, like they're all doing effectively the same
Mhm.
thing, right? Like they're gathering a bunch of information about your buying habits and things like this, trying to target
Yep.
you more specifically, and that's really what it boils down to, right? So Palantir is a more extreme example, but
Still there.
it's and with AI, it's it's gonna get way worse before it gets better. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
but again, it, it affects everybody, right?
Mhm,
Because it affects your personal life and it creeps into your business, and in some cases is a business of its own. But
mhm.
like there's a lot of a lot, but there's a few loud voices out there that advocate for privacy, and I think the basic lack of understanding of what all is actually happening behind the scenes is
Yeah,
difficult for the average human being to wrap their head around because technology's advanced so much further than our understanding of it. I'm talking broadly
yeah.
in society
I
that
don't
we like implicitly kind of just allowed it to.
yeah.
Uh,
And I think when you do, and I have a tendency to do this, if I want to learn about something, I'll jump in, obviously just dive. And this sheer volume of information, it's overload. And you can spook yourself real quick and be like, oh, I don't want to think about that. That's crazy.
right,
And so I think a lot of people will do that.
and I think one of the other parts is that there's a significant portion of that information that's inaccurate,
Mm. Oh,
right, or outdated
it's the
or
internet.
intentionally wrong, right, to kind of
Hmm.
beat that pass, and so making like understanding it can become quite difficult for those who don't kind of live in it, right?
Right.
It's one of the things I have to kind of work on continuously is, hey, I've been doing this for so long and I know the nuances and the ins and outs of it. Very few people do know it to that
Um,
level. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm some wonderkin that, has this crazy, you know, deep understanding. Like there are plenty of people out there that know it, deeper than what I do.
mhm.
But even still, like, the average human being, business owners or like end users, they just can't like understand 30 years of experience and nuance in
Right.
a couple of
You
sentences.
to be able to see things.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we exist, right? That's part of why we as managed service providers and as security professionals, that's why we exist.
Hmm.
And that at that point it's kind of a trust thing. Hey, making sure that you understand that your provider has your best interests at heart. And
Yeah.
again, you have to make those decisions for yourself by and large, but listen to the people and ask questions.
Be proactive is really what I'm
It is. It's
hearing.
proactive. That ounce of prevention,
Prevents, what is it? A
found a cure.
pound of cure?
Hmm.
There's a couple different takes on that. So if you're the small business that's listening to this, besides call you and attend the event, register, what would you advise them like the first two things that they should do?
The very first two things would be multi-factor and train your staff.
Okay, there you go. That's a quick, easy one. And you've got solutions for both of those.
Yeah,
Uh,
and most vendors, email providers, web providers, almost everyone supports multi-factor at this point,
mhm.
right? So,
And that's something that people can do like right now.
oh yeah, should have did it yesterday.
And if they don't know, and you guys have a solution set, the boss solution set. So you have that, you come in there and they'll do an audit, autopsy, whatever you want to call, and be like, all right, we know exactly what you need right here.
Yeah, so we certainly have built out a set of technologies and processes that we believe are pretty secure.
Mhm.
We got some proven performance with these, and stuff like that. But regardless of what flavor of ice cream you like, if I mean, that's a bad analogy, but
No, I like it. Keep going.
I'd say just eat the ice cream, right? Like you have to know that that what the ingredients are,
Mhm.
and I don't know, yeah, that does. But
I feel what you I smell what you're stepping in. I got it.
I guess my point is that if you take just a little bit of time, you don't necessarily have to understand how it works from like a deep level,
Mhm.
but understanding that it's important and it's needed, and that you can do it without. I mean, they've made a lot of this incredibly simple to put in place,
Mhm.
and there's tons of free resources out there. It is a little bit of a time investment, but you still have to make a choice to go do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you don't ever make that choice to go do it, then you live with the consequences if something happens. It's
Right.
just the reality of it.
Right. And documentation, knowing what you're doing, how you're doing it, and documenting that you even are doing it. Because I'm sure the insurance people are going to want to know
Yeah.
what's your proven process.
Yeah. I mean,
That's part of it.
generally with most applications, they're going to ask you, you're going to fill it out.
Mhm.
Right. And you can put whatever you want on that piece of paper. And some companies will say, you got to give us proof.
Yeah.
Right. Some companies won't. But if you get breached or something does happen and they come back and they find out that maybe that application wasn't accurate
Mhm.
for whatever reason, well, just like any other
We'll look for a reason to get
scenario,
out.
you're going to void your warranty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're gonna void your claim, and in some rare cases, they've actually gone after organizations for fraud because they,
Jeez. So not only did you get hit, now you were fraudulent about what you said you were doing to not get
yeah.
hit.
And again, that's somewhat extreme, but at the end of the day, that is
Happens.
a real possibility. And these insurance companies want to keep their money.
Mhm.
And if you're not doing what you say you're doing, and it causes them material harm, well, guess what? They're going to try to take that out of
Yeah.
your.
Right. Serious. Well, James, that was awesome. Besides, now everybody listening, you can find out this information and more in detail at the event, cybersecurity event in October, but call us.
Yeah,
It's pretty easy.
it is. It's super easy, and we're always up for discussion.
That's what you guys do on the daily.
That's what we do every day, all
On the
day.
daily.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, y'all. There you have it. On the solution stack, hackers beware because we know you. Just kidding. All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yep. Thanks for having
Later.
me.